Have you ever looked at Google Ads or gotten a report from your agency or gotten a report from your freelancer and been told conversions are up 35%? And then look at this click-through rate. It is so much higher than industry benchmark. This means the ads are resonating. To me, this is a massive win on paper. It looks great. It's presented well. Things are working. But then you're looking at the business and it's not lining up. A lot of clients come to me for this very, very reason. Because then what happens is they look at their revenue and they're very confused and it doesn't add up. But they have the report. So they're just really feeling conflicted and confused and they don't know what's going on. And then nothing changes when they confront the issue. Sales teams complaining that the leads are bad quality. The customer acquisition cost is overall up. And you're left wondering, where did my marketing money actually go? What did I get out of Google Ads? Maybe you've even considered just turning it off altogether, which I did have a client do. Now, the funny part is the client turned it back on and we got it to work. But we're going to talk about this today and that mindset shift that really needs to happen if you're going to understand why this is something that happens, especially in Google Ads, especially in marketing and with reporting in general. Here is a dirty secret of Google Ads, and I would say of reporting in general. The data doesn't lie, but the reporting absolutely does. And I cannot believe that I haven't been using my microphone, so I pray that these videos are okay. So most of the time when you get a report, the numbers are engineered to tell a good story. I sometimes think working on the agency side, the agency can't help itself. They want to tell the narrative. In fact, they've been taught to put a lot in the details to make sure that they write out the narrative so that you're able to interpret it better. But what that is that's engineering a story. And it's not always an accurate one, as you probably know now. And if you hold on to the belief that these reports are accurate, it's going to give you a false sense of security that's actually going to burn your capital and the money you're spending on ads. By the end of this video, I am going to show you the exact tricks and the exact tactics being used in your account right now. And I'm going to give you a 3-step framework to ensure that your spend actually drives results for your business. Early in my career, I worked on the metrics team before I was officially doing paid search. Actually, I took a route of doing SEO before I did just paid search. So I was on the metrics team. And we had a usability team that built a widget on the homepage. And I'll never forget this because the head of the usability team, an executive, came over to my desk and here I was, little 22-year-old Sarah. Okay, maybe I was 25 or 26, but whatever. It was young, right? And the executive asked me to pull data on the use of the widget on the homepage, right, that her team had developed. She wanted to continue to justify the existence of this widget to her executive team. So that was her motivation. Cannot blame her. So we pulled down the data and learned that 2.5% of people that came to the homepage were using the widget. And so she changed the numbers and went in and put on the report, thousands of people are using this per month. That data of thousands of people is not incorrect, but it factually didn't set the stage for what was really happening. That widget and the amount that it costs and the time to maintain it, it really wasn't serving as much of a purpose on the homepage as it could have. But she was using data to tell the story that she wanted to tell, to justify the existence of the product that her team supported. That was a really big lesson for me because I see this happening all the time when I'm talking to clients. And this is the line between reporting and editorializing. And it's completely and utterly blurred. And we have to think about the fact that Google Ads and paid search, we don't have a regulatory body. We don't have anyone telling us what we should or shouldn't do. That's not how this industry works. There's no ethics board, although I'm the president of the Paid Search Association and I do everything in my power to scream loudly about ethics, but I don't know if the people who need to hear it because they're probably busy raking in the clients and extorting them with the wrong metrics. Let's just say it. And it leaves the rest of us to pick up the pieces, which is good because that's what I built my business on. But I digress. There are platform certifications, there's courses that can be taken, but the standard is entirely self-imposed. So when a PPC account manager tells you that your campaign is crushing it because your CTR is 2% or 2.5%, they're not only handing you a benchmark that is over a decade old at this point with smart bidding and the algorithm. But 10 years ago, a 2% CTR meant your ad copy was highly relevant. Today, Google's machine learning takes care of a lot of this. The algorithms are hyper relevant and optimized to find the easiest high-performing audiences and these high probability clicks. So yeah, the algorithm is going to inflate the CTR for you. It's better than it was 20 years ago or 15 years ago, probably even 10. Reporting a high CTR today isn't proof of good performance. It's proof that the algorithm found what it needed. And so to fix this train of thought and to fix you getting caught in the cycle of good reports, but not really sure where your marketing dollars are going, we need to move and think differently about how we look at metrics. And it comes down to 3 core principles. The first one is a conversion is not a conversion. When a report says 100 conversions, what actually happened? Was that actually $5,000 in closed sales? Or are you looking at chats, form fills, phone calls, maybe even a video view or a page scroll, some form of engagement? When you flatten all this into a single metric called conversions, you're hiding the distance between user intent and your business outcome. The data must be presented with context. It should say something like, we generated 142 phone calls, 213 form leads, and 85 chats. And then it should present the percentages of this. And you should know what percentage of the pipeline was calls versus forms versus chats. And you shouldn't be presented only with the version that looks bigger by choice, because that's not neutral reporting. Always demand both. You should see raw counts and percentages, and you want to see the distributions side by side. I would also learn to train yourself to beware of industry manipulation tactics. You want to train your eyes to spot manipulation tactics that can be done in reporting. Conversion stacking. Again, that's stacking chats, form fills, form scrolls, button clicks, and putting them in one big conversions column. So you don't know what is more important and what is less important and what actually ties back to your business. You're never looking at business on top of what you're doing and the little micro conversions that you're tracking. Cherry pick date ranges is another huge one that I see. Oh, well, if month over month doesn't look good, let's look at quarter over quarter or year over year. And to a certain extent, you don't want to be looking at too short of a date range or too long of a date range, but you can't cherry pick what looks good and what doesn't look good. You sometimes need to know that maybe on a monthly basis, there is a slowdown, but quarterly you are growing. Or yearly, there's a slowdown, but quarterly you're growing. You need to know it in all date ranges, what's happening short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And then I would also say we still see vanity metric substitution. So leading a presentation with impressions and clicks, or showing low CPCs as being something great. Like, I could run low CPCs all day. I'll put you on the display network. That's cheap, but it's not necessarily effective or effective at all. So if you're getting bragged to about a low CPC, proceed with caution. My gosh. Cheap clicks are so easy to buy, especially with the display network. Upper funnel audiences are always going to be cheaper. But high intent, high value prospects that are doing the right actions for your business, they're always going to be more expensive because they're closer to that bottom line. A higher CPC that yields an overall lower cost per acquisition is an executive victory. A low CPC that drives zero pipeline and zero sales for your business is just complete waste. I would say the biggest thing is it's time to change how you think in these meetings. You want to stop acting like a passive client just along for the ride. You don't just want to accept the PDF report or just not look at it and assume that your ads are being run well. Ultimately, when you look at the report, you should act like a portfolio manager looking at investments that are being made. Next time you sit down to review Google Ads data, you could ask some questions. If we strip away all the secondary micro conversions, video views, chat starts, soft downloads, how many actual business outcomes came out of this? And what was the true CPA for those specific business outcomes? What percentage of these would have occurred anyway, via brand equity or organic if we turn ads off today? The second question forces a discussion around incrementality. Credit is not causation. A branded search campaign may show thousands of conversions, and they're probably decently low cost, although I've seen them creeping up in today's day and age with all the automation. But those customers may already have been navigating your site. You just made it a step easier for them. And that's not to say that I'm against brand. It's just that's how you have to ask questions. So to you, the user, if you have lost money on Google Ads, if you've wasted money, like almost every single account that I've been looking at over the past year or so, if you have said to yourself, man, this platform just doesn't work for me, or you've been spinning your reels, watching YouTube videos, asking ChatGPT, asking AI, I want to validate that experience. It likely wasn't your business, the product, the service you're offering, or even Google Ads itself. You were probably just operating from a broken thinking pattern and an outdated playbook that you were never really retaught. And it's built around vanity metrics, presentation, telling a story that doesn't necessarily work for your business. When you start to demand transparent, multi-dimensional reporting that ties directly back to your business revenue, this all ceases to be as confusing. And your Google Ads turns out to be a very predictable source of revenue and a phenomenal engine for growth, as I know it can be. So please, if I were to give you one big takeaway, stop accepting flattering stories and demand accurate stories. I hope this video helped. I hope it gave you a thinking pattern to change how you look at things. And I'd love to see you in the comments. Have a good one.